Think about trying to find a church. Like just, God, we want to find a church that honors you, that preaches the word, that has a great kids program, all this other stuff. And you find a church, but I don't want to serve. I don't want to be there early on Sunday morning. I don't want to serve. I don't want to, like, I got what I want, and now it's like, I don't know. God, I got what I wanted. I don't need God anymore. Right? Just think about like the husband or wife thing. Like you come to church, like, oh God, I want to find a godly man. I want to find a godly woman. Like you get what you want, you get married, you find the person, but forget about like ordering your family around biblical principles or tithing forget about all that because I got what I wanted. Like what I wanted was the spouse, and after that, well, God, it's all gravy after that. Like whatever I kind of want to do after that. Like it happens when we teach too. Like we're all focused and study. Like when we teach Kids Town or Thrive or Crossfire or preach a sermon. Like we're all like, we study hard. We become Berean, if you will, and like want to know the scriptures. But when it goes well and we get what we want, like the next week, how's it go? How's it go the next week in studying and praying and fasting? Right? This is in your note-taking outline, but I just wanted to highlight this. How we act when we get what we want gets God's attention. It doesn't matter if it's good or bad, but how we act when we get what we want gets God's attention. God's not like, you know what, Rehoboam, I realize that you're about to do something really stupid, but I'm cool with it. Like, I'm just going to let you do it. No, God jumps in. Rehoboam gets God's attention with how he acts. Rehoboam gets what he wants and then gets God's attention. And let me just say this, like, in this way, you don't want God's attention. Right? We want to see God, hear God, but when it comes to this way, you don't want God's attention like what Rehoboam is about to experience, all right? You don't want to get God's attention this way. And so we're sitting at the climax moment right now. Here's the Egyptian army. They take everything. Rehoboam's got nothing left, basically, compared to what he used to have. And here's what the prophet says. You ready? Verse 5. This is what the Lord says to you. This is what Shemaiah says, the prophet of the Lord. You have abandoned me, therefore I now abandon you to Shishak, king of Egypt, and the entire Egyptian army. Look, the best way I can explain it is this. All right? Here's God saying here. This is what God is saying to the prophet Shemaiah. You have abandoned me. You have turned your back on me, Shemaiah, or Rehoboam. You've turned your back on me. You don't listen to me. You don't care about my commands. You don't want to heed my instructions. You don't want to carry out the law of the Lord in your land. You don't want to subject yourself to me in my kingship. You've completely turned your back on me. I gave you 3 years of prosperity, and now 4 years, and in the 4th year, you totally destroyed the entire thing by not caring. You've turned your back on me. And God says this, I'm going to step back from you. All right? God doesn't say, you turned your back on me, I'm going to turn my back on you. God says, you turned your back on me, I'm going to step back. I'm going to remove my hand of protection. I'm going to remove my hand of blessing. I'm going to remove my hand of teaching and training and helping Judah go forward as a nation. I'm going to remove my hand. I'm just going to step back. I'm not going to turn my back on you. I'm just going to step back. All right? Why? Because what you did with success got my attention. What you did with your success, Rehoboam, what I blessed you with, got my attention. So God says, I'm going to step back. All right, try to just imagine the atmosphere in the room right now. Your whole family, all your sons, around a table. The prophet comes in and says, that's it. You're done. You're done. Suddenly the big foam number 1 finger is pointing right at you. Right? God's like, bingo. You know why? You did it. Your arrogance, your sin, Rehoboam. You lead this country away from me. Take your foam finger, turn it right here, because it's your fault. That's what God does with the prophet Shemaiah. And now there's like silence, right? Like there's like really? And now it's big decision time. And right now, here's what God wants, all right? Before we go there, though. Have you been there? Like, I think you've been there because I've been there. You've been in those situations where the God's foam finger, okay, whatever, all right, has clearly pointed out stuff in your life. Forget stuff, sin in your life, all right? Not stuff, sin, all right? He's pointing out sin in your life. I've been in those times, you've been in those times, you will be in those times where God is clear, this is your fault, this is your sin, this is the consequences, here it is. And at that point, like, I know I shouldn't have done that. Like, I know I shouldn't have said this. I know I shouldn't do what I'm about to do. Like, I know it. I know it for a fact. All right? I know I shouldn't be living with that person or this person. I know I shouldn't be treating my spouse that way. I know I shouldn't be such a punk at work. I know I shouldn't be dating this person. I know I shouldn't be talking about my parents with my friends behind my parents' back. Like, you kids, like, you have that opportunity, right? You all go to school, and you're like, my parents are, and you're like, yeah, my parents are. Like, you just walk down the halls, complain about your parents, go to class. Like, hey, I was there, I did it, you know? Like, I know you do it. Like, come on, like, seriously. Like, I know I shouldn't be hanging out with those guys. Like, you know what you should and should not be doing something. Like, God has made it clear. It's the same position that Rehoboam and his sons are in. And right then, right now, you have the choice, humility or arrogance. Am I going to be humble? Am I going to accept what God is saying? Am I going to change my life? Am I going to confess? Am I going to be forgiven? Or am I going to be arrogant and I'm going to keep going down this path? That's what sits before Rehoboam and the nation right now. Are we going to be humble before the Lord? Or are we going to be arrogant and be like, you know what? I'm the king. I can do what I want. That you've been there. God has laid it out for Rehoboam and his sons. Taking them to task. Called them to the carpet. And it's decision time. And right now, this is what it should look like for us as the readers. On the edge of your seat. Like, what's he going to, I'm going to fall off of here. What's he going to do? Is he going to humble himself? Is he going to listen? What's he going to do? Like, Jeroboam, horrible. Northern kingdom, done. Like, Rehoboam, bad advice to start this whole thing out. 3 years of prosperity, horrible 4th year. What's he going to do? Is he going to listen? Is he going to care? Is he going to humble himself? How are they going to respond? Him and his whole family. A nation hangs in the balance. What's he going to do? On the edge of your seats. Okay. Verse 6. You ready? The leaders of Israel and the king humbled themselves and said, the Lord is just. The leaders of Israel and the king humbled themselves and said, the Lord is just. Wow. Humility. The king, his sons, the leaders of Judah, humble themselves and say, God's right. We did it. We deserve what we got coming. We'll take it like men. God is just. Heads hanging. Probably pretty mopey at this point. Like, yeah, we did it. We're sorry. What do we do now? They humble themselves in that room, tucked away in the dark palace, with God's prophet standing right there. This is in your notes too. How we react when God convicts us gets God's attention. How you react when you get what you want gets God's attention. How you react when God convicts you of sin in your life, how you react to that gets God's attention too. Here's what I love about the rest of this, basically 7, verse 7 through 12. You get to see how God reacts to humility. Instead of me or Ron or somebody up here telling you like God will do this or God should do this or this probably will happen, like you're going to get to see it in the text. This is what God does when we are humble. 3 things that God does with Rehoboam and the kingdom and his sons when they humble themselves. I want you to see same 3 things happen to us today, 2010, August, whatever it is, when we humble ourselves and we trust in the Lord. All right? Because look, the Bible's not full of people that had perfect lives and went on and they're just stories for us to, like, we're people too. We struggle with the exact same things. We go through the exact same situations. They had dubs on their chariot wheels. We have dubs on our car rims, okay? Like, the point is, like, Doesn't matter. Like, they have chariots, we have escalades. They have warriors, we have CEOs. Who cares? Like, the point is, your people, their people. You make the exact same decisions. You're going to have some of the exact same consequences. Like, we need to see that. Like, the Bible is not just great stories. It's a story about people that live and have the exact same consequences, exact same decisions. Verse 12, 7 through 12. Let's read it. What does God do with humility? When the Lord saw that they humbled themselves, this word of the Lord came to Shemaiah. Since you have humbled yourselves, I will not destroy them, but I will soon give them deliverance. Why? Because you humbled yourself. All right. So my wrath will not be poured out on Jerusalem through Shishak. They will, however, become subject to him, so that they may learn the difference between serving me and serving the kings of the land. We'll get back to that. Then Shishak, king of Egypt, attacked Jerusalem. He carried off all the treasures of the temple of the Lord and the treasures of the royal palace. He took everything, including the gold shields Solomon had made, basically $1.2 million worth of gold. So King Rehoboam made bronze shields to replace them and assigned them to the commanders of the guard on duty at the entrance of the royal palace. Whenever the king went to the Lord's temple, the guards went with him.